Mesothelioma is one of the most devastating diagnoses a person can receive, caused primarily by asbestos exposure. This aggressive form of cancer not only impacts health, but also brings significant financial strain on patients and their families. In recent years, legal cases involving mesothelioma have resulted in substantial financial awards, both from jury verdicts and out-of-court settlements. Today, we're going to break down the latest mesothelioma lawsuit payout statistics so you can understand what's happening in 2025 and what victims and families might expect when pursuing legal action. Let's start with the most recent and high-profile trial verdicts. In July 2025, a Massachusetts jury awarded $42.6 million to Paul Lovell. The jury found that Johnson & Johnson's talc products were responsible for causing his mesothelioma. This verdict is significant not only because of the size of the award, but also because it highlights the continuing legal battles involving talc products and asbestos contamination. It's a clear example of how juries, when presented with strong evidence, can deliver substantial compensation to victims. Looking back at 2024, we also saw major verdicts that grabbed headlines. One of the most notable was the South Carolina case of Michael Perry versus American International Industries. In that case, the jury awarded a total of $63.4 million. That sum included $32.6 million in compensatory damages and another $30.7 million in punitive damages. Punitive damages are designed to punish the defendant for especially harmful behavior and to deter similar actions in the future. Other noteworthy verdicts over the past couple of years include a $45 million award in Illinois and a staggering $260 million verdict in Oregon, although that award was later vacated. There have also been several Johnson & Johnson-related mesothelioma cases resulting in awards of $15 million and $8 million. These numbers show that while trial verdicts can vary widely, they often reach into the tens of millions of dollars, and in some cases far beyond that. But it's important to remember that while trial verdicts make headlines, the majority of mesothelioma cases never go to trial. Instead, they are resolved through out-of-court settlements. Settlements are generally faster, less risky, and less stressful for victims and their families. According to recent reports, the nationwide average for mesothelioma settlements typically ranges between $1 million and $2 million. Some sources narrow that range to about $1 million to $1.4 million. These settlements are negotiated between the victim's legal team and the defendant, and they avoid the unpredictability of a jury decision. Now, while $1 to $2 million is still a substantial amount, it's important to note that this is significantly less than what a victim might receive in a successful jury trial. However, trials carry the risk of losing the case altogether, which is why many plaintiffs choose to settle. For families facing urgent medical bills and financial uncertainty, the speed and certainty of a settlement can be more valuable than the possibility of a larger but uncertain jury award. Another source of compensation for mesothelioma victims comes from asbestos bankruptcy trust funds. These trusts were established by companies that filed for bankruptcy due to the overwhelming number of asbestos-related lawsuits. While they provide a way for victims to receive compensation even if the company is no longer in business, the payouts from these trusts are generally much lower than settlements or trial verdicts. For example, in 2025, the United States Gypsum Trust offers scheduled values between $180,000 and $450,000 for mesothelioma claims. However, due to the way these trusts operate, actual payouts are often a fraction of the scheduled value, with a payout percentage of around 31.7%. That means victims might actually receive between $57,000 and $142,000. This is still helpful for covering expenses, but it's a much smaller sum compared to other legal avenues. To put all of this into perspective, let's compare the typical outcomes side by side. Out-of-court settlements generally range from $1 million to $2 million. Jury trial verdicts often land between $40 million and $60 million, with some exceptional cases going even higher. Trust fund payouts, on the other hand, are in the tens of thousands to low hundreds of thousands. This comparison highlights a critical point. The amount of compensation varies dramatically depending on the legal path taken. Trials offer the potential for much higher awards, but they are also more time-consuming, stressful, and uncertain. Settlements provide quicker and more predictable outcomes, but typically result in smaller payouts. Trust funds are an option of last resort when the responsible company has gone bankrupt, and they generally offer the smallest payments. So, what does this mean for someone diagnosed with mesothelioma, or for families who have lost a loved one to this disease? First, it underscores the importance of consulting an experienced mesothelioma attorney as soon as possible. These cases are complex and require legal teams with specialized knowledge of asbestos exposure, medical evidence, and the history of asbestos litigation. An experienced lawyer can evaluate the specifics of your case, estimate potential compensation, and advise whether pursuing a trial, settlement, or trust fund claim makes the most sense. Second, victims should be aware of the statutes of limitations in their state. These laws set strict deadlines for filing a lawsuit after a diagnosis or a death caused by mesothelioma. Missing these deadlines can mean losing the right to pursue compensation entirely, no matter how strong the case might be. Finally, it's worth mentioning that compensation from mesothelioma lawsuits isn't just about covering medical bills. These funds can help replace lost income, cover future care needs, and provide financial stability for surviving family members. In cases involving punitive damages, they also serve as a powerful statement that negligent companies will be held accountable for the harm they have caused. In summary, the latest mesothelioma lawsuit payout statistics in 2025 show a clear pattern. Settlements average around $1 to $2 million, providing quick resolution. Jury trial verdicts can soar into the tens of millions, sometimes exceeding $60 million, but they carry higher risks and longer timelines. Trust fund payouts remain much smaller, typically under $150,000. For victims and families, the choice between these options depends on their circumstances, needs, and willingness to pursue a lengthy legal battle. But no matter which route is taken, these legal outcomes represent a vital lifeline for people facing one of the toughest challenges of their lives. By understanding the latest payout statistics and the pros and cons of each legal option, victims and their families can make informed decisions that best serve their needs. The fight against mesothelioma is not just a medical battle. It's a legal one as well, and knowing the landscape is the first step toward justice and fair compensation.